Serbia must counter Russian disinformation, says the EU. Today, we are going to talk about some American propaganda that is coming out about how Russia is giving disinformation to Serbia, and let's talk about this article today. Now, it's funny that the EU and America love talking about disinformation, about what Russia is doing, yet they don't seem to look at what they're doing with their own misinformation and political propaganda in their own countries and what they're doing to their own citizens there. But this article that comes in from Barrons.com talks about how Serbia must counter Russia disinformation. Now, one thing I wanted to look into before I got into this article is because it says it's coming from the EU, yet it's Barrons.com. So I quickly did some research and looked into who owns Barrons.com. And the company that owns Barrons.com is Dow Jones and Company. They first issued their very first article in 1921. So they've been around for 103 years now. And they are based in New York City, United States. So it's funny that we are getting this information and getting the United States to tell Serbia, who has no affiliation with the EU, has no connections or looking for support from the United States, getting United States once again sticking their nose in what does not belong and not allowing a sovereign country to do as they please. It's not bad enough that they already have a illegal NATO base in Kosovo. That's not bad enough that they bombed Serbia back in the 90s with an illegal bombing. Let's get into what they're talking about in this article here. It says Serbia must take urgent measures to combat Russian media manipulation and interference, a spokesman for the EU's diplomatic service told AFB Tuesday after a Reporters Without Borders reported highlighted the issues. The European Union has adopted sanctions against Russian state-owned media, including RT, whose broadcasting in and from the EU is suspected. EU spokesman for external affairs Peter Stano told AFP. So yes, the European Union adopted sanctions against Russia. Serbia is not part of the EU. So I'm not sure why the EU is looking to dictate, or should I say the United States, because we know that most of the EU is, enforced by the United States and their corrupt policies. These media include RT in all its form, have become an instrument for the Kremlin in its war against Ukraine and a channel for the dissemination and manipulation of information. Stano's comments came a day after Pavlo Shastai, head of Reporters Without Borders, Europe and Balkans desk, told AFP that Serbia was amplifying Kremlin propaganda by ignoring EU sanctions on Russian media. Yes, like we just said, Serbia is not part of the EU, and I know some of the politicians are trying to say that they're looking to get into the EU and, by 2030. However, the EU also does not like that Serbia has relations with China and that we actually have relations with Russia, and we've had relations with Russia before the US, before the EU, before any of that stuff. And so just because, the big bully on the playground decides to do something doesn't mean that everyone else is going to fall in line. It does not mean that you need to fall in line as well, being Serbia is who I'm talking about, because Serbia And at the same time, who is saying that is being amplified, really? I know that even if I lived in Canada, I could get RT News. I know people that live in the United States. They can get RT News. I can turn on the TV here and, not find RT News. What we have here is Serbian local news. We don't have RT maybe in other package of, cable subscriptions or packages of what you buy for your TV package, but I have not seen RT anywhere being portrayed here in Serbia. Now, the funny thing is that we have the elections coming up here next month, I believe, in the United States, and we're getting this Kamala Harris talking about how when she gets into office, she's going to do X, Y, Z, and the media is propping her up, and what they've been doing also with Joe Biden is propping him up with their media and Sleepy Joe and how he's a mumbling buffoon, yet they're not going to talk about that. They don't want to talk about their borders getting raided. They're going to talk about everything else that's happening in the world, talking about how there's an increased crime rate here in Serbia, and talking about how people from the United States and Canada should not come here to Serbia. Yet you guys have so many problems on your own soil, not only United States, but Canada as well. It's one of the reasons that many people are coming to Relocation Serbia is because they are seeing these legacy brand countries such as the United States and Canada deteriorating. It is not once what it used to be, and they are sick and tired of the politics that's going in there and the docile people that do not want to take any action and just say, oh, well, what are you going to do? Or the ones that are eating so much of that junk that you call media and propaganda from these news outlets in the United States that they're like, oh yeah, when Kamala gets into the office, it's going to be better. Not realizing that woman has been in office for 3.5 years, and now she's talking about when she gets into office. Please. Next on here, they say Serbia as a candidate country for EU membership also must also take urgent measures to combat the manipulation interference of foreign information. I'm sorry, but we didn't want United States here in the 90s, and you guys decided to come here and bomb not only infrastructure, but civilians, kids, and women here and completely destroy people's lives. That's not foreign interference by any means, but now that we want to talk about what Russia is doing and how Russia bad, it's funny how when you have all these countries complaining and putting sanctions on Russia, yet somehow Russia's economy is booming and the United States and Canadian economies are going down the drains, somehow Russia is bad. It's funny how also that even though they've had these sanctions, Russia has been able to, work with other countries around the world, India, Brazil, China, and develop the BRICS nations, which is going to be looking like it's going to be a huge competitor against the U.S. petrodollar. And maybe this is why we're having the propaganda being, thrown in our face here in Serbia by the propaganda machine being the United States. It really makes me wonder, and I'd love to hear what you as viewers are saying. I know a lot of the people and a lot of the clients that we've been working with that have left, North America and Australia and all these other countries have said, hey, listen, we're done with the propaganda. We're done with the woke culture. We don't want our kids eating GMOs. We don't want that, yet somehow it's promoted in those countries as being something that needs to be a progressive way of life. And these are the type of people that we're looking to help, the people that are looking to go back to the old-fashioned traditions of what you can have here in Serbia and enjoy life here the traditional way and not be exposed to all the lies, deceit. And I'm not saying that every country doesn't have their problems. Serbia definitely has its problems. I don't trust not even one politician, not even the ones that they have here in Serbia. But I'm just saying it's a lot easier to deal with the politics and propaganda that you would see here in Serbia, because the people here in Serbia, one, are a lot more awake to government corruption than what people are in United States and Canada, for instance. And at the same time, it's a lot peaceful of a lifestyle here. It's a lot more of a warming community and culture here, and that's why many of the people that we do work with here at Relocation Serbia turn to us to help them get them to this beautiful country and help them start fresh and start in Serbia. I hope that you got some value out of this video, and I want to hear your thoughts. Leave your comments down in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one.